I'm Phil Harris from the Jax Ranger Show. This is the MLR Championship Shield, and you're watching Let Freedom Ring, baby. Woo! Huzzah!
Welcome to Let Freedom Ring. In case you were unaware, the Patriots-Chiefs game that was supposed to be on Monday night has now been flexed to a Sunday at 1 o'clock. Kind of tells you how the season we're having, and it is what it is. I'm saying lose, baby, lose. Let's get draft picks. But my guest this week, Amy Desimas Wenrich.
Hi.
Nailed it?
Nailed it.
All right. Welcome to the show, Amy. Let's get to know you a little bit. Where are you from? Where'd you grow up?
So I was born and raised in Dracut, Massachusetts, and I live currently in Nashua.
Okay, nice. Now we're gonna talk about it. We all know you're a little. We know you play softball.
Yes.
But was there other sports that you played growing up?
Yes. I was also a cheerleader.
Oh, really?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I tried to play football when I was younger. My uncle coached football. All my brothers played football. I have 5 brothers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. 3 of them are triplets.
Where do you fall in?
Right in the middle.
Right in the middle. Okay.
So I have 2 older brothers, and my younger brothers are triplets.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Okay. So that must have been.
I call it controlled chaos.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how my parents did it, but yeah, I didn't want to do cheerleading. My mom signed me up, and I was that battered, bruised kid because I also grew up in a neighborhood full of boys.
Okay.
So I had to compete with the best of them, and I was actually good at it.
Nice.
I had awesome opportunities. I went to London my senior year.
Oh, okay.
I was in a New Year's Day parade.
Oh, wow.
Right in front of the Big Ben.
For cheerleading?
For cheerleading.
Okay.
Yeah, and we used to do cheerleading camps before the seasons would start, and I was hand selected by the camp instructors.
Oh, wow.
So I had an awesome opportunity at the age of 17, left the country without my parents, and I went to London.
What was that like? Was it kind of, I mean, I know they speak English, but I mean, like, how did it feel, being young?
For me,
there?
it was a huge culture shock.
Yeah.
We were loud, obnoxious Americans, and they are very quiet. They are reserved. We're eating dinner, and we're just loud teenagers. We've got a lot of looks. Like, you don't do that here. Got to learn some interesting things, see amazing sights. It was just really fun.
Oh, that's cool. Now,
yeah.
You said you grew up in a neighborhood with a lot of kids. We've
Yes.
kind of talked about this on the show. I did too, and it was mostly boys, and there was like 1 or 2 girls. And we'd be out a lot. There's a lot of talk about like kids don't go out as much anymore.
I feel like I have 2 kids, and my kids don't even go out as much.
Yeah, I don't, everybody blames it on the iPads and stuff, but I don't know if that's entirely true. I don't know if it's just there's not as many kids in the neighborhood or...
I feel like we just live in different times.
Yeah.
I feel like times are just different. Like, I wouldn't necessarily trust my kids to go out with certain people unless I knew their parents.
Yeah.
It's a fear. I feel like we live in a little bit of fear too.
I think we're more aware of like the things that happen. But in the neighborhood, I gotta ask this: like, were you guys all playing sports all the time in the neighborhood?
Yes. Gosh, we had kickball tournaments. My backyard was the biggest backyard, so we actually had a baseball field where we'd play kickball, wiffle ball. Yeah, that was my backyard, and all the kids were there, or we'd be down the street. There were twins that lived down the street, so we'd be there too.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was same thing. Like, summers were, like, the best because I tried every sport in the neighborhood, I think, possible,
Yeah. A lot of trouble caused.
Yes, a lot of arguments, a lot of, like, that was fair, that was foul, and stuff like that. But no, good stuff. Now, what are 3 things that everybody should know about you?
I am loyal by a fault. I will give to anybody else if I can. To the point where I'll put myself back to take care of others. I love my family. Definitely devoted to my family. And I have the sense of humor of a 12-year-old boy.
No, totally get that. Do you think, like, the way that you are, like you said, like, do anything for anybody, loyalty and stuff like that, is that kind of what led you to be a teacher?
I don't know really, but I do know I went back to my mom's house recently, and she used to save these little books where it was like my school picture, and I would always list the top 5 things that I wanted to be when I grew up. I went back as far as kindergarten, and I mean, one year I wanted to be a firewoman, a policewoman, a hairdresser, a marine biologist, but always in the top 5 was a teacher.
Okay.
So I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Did you have a lot of teachers like growing up that kind of inspired you, or?
I had one, and this was actually really cool. So I went to Plymouth State, and I worked at the Common Man Inn.
Oh, okay.
When they first opened, I opened it with the company.
Now we have one here in Merrimack
Yeah,
too.
yeah. It was a great company to work for. Alex Ray he was a great owner. But the cool thing is I was waiting tables. It was a huge snowstorm, and I was questioning if I should go home, if they were going to cut me. A bunch of snowmobilers come in because it's getting kind of dicey outside. And I'm looking at the table, and I'm like, I think that's my 8th grade teacher.
Oh.
He was my favorite teacher, Mr. Clayson.
Oh, wow.
And he was in there, and I said, Mr. Clayson? And he goes, Amy Desimas. And I said, yeah, it's me. You remembered. And I just said, yeah, I'm going to school to be a teacher. And this was probably the most disheartening moment when he was like, you shouldn't. And I went, aw. No. And he said, no. He said it was never, ever, because I didn't like the kids. I love the kids. And he was amazing. He was like, I just didn't like the politics behind it at the time.
Yeah. Which
I can see that perspective. But it was really cool to meet up with him. And he did. He said, you know what, I wish you the best. And it was kind of nice how it came full circle. Because I feel like in my undergrad, they always asked, like, draw your favorite teacher. And it was always him. So to see him in my senior year of college, that was kind of cool.
It's almost like an omen, like, doing the right thing.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, I've had experience. I mean, because I went to school to be a teacher. I was in the field for a little bit. But I remember even recently, I had my favorite teacher. And I've run into him a lot in the community. And I ran into him one night. I'm not going to use his name, obviously. He's from in this area. But, I saw him. I said, hey, how are things? Like, how's teaching going? Oh, I'm done with that. And he had been teaching a long time. Yeah. And, like, all he had was all this, like, I'm tired of the parents, this and that. And I was like, okay, all right, But, I didn't leave because I just had a different opportunity I wanted to do, And sometimes you got to do that. But sticking with the theme of the show, here's the money question. The big question we ask everybody, get a lot of different answers, means a lot of different things to a lot of people. But what does it mean to you to be an American?
Well, I've also had an amazing opportunity. I worked for the Air Force.
Oh, okay.
I worked at a Boys and Girls Club. So working with kids, this was before I became a teacher because I did not feel that I was mature and responsible enough to mold young minds because I was super immature myself. But I got to hang out and play with kids. I got to do fun activities. And working at the Air Force, it was really nice to see all the men and women that serve our country and what they were fighting for every day so I could have my freedom to live by my own moral compass. And it's kind of neat because in the military, it's not just the parents that serve, the whole family serves.
Yes.
Think about it. You got to move around with them. You follow what their mission is. So it was just a great opportunity. And, I have great respect for people that serve.
Oh, all right. Good answer. Yeah, no, that's a big thing a lot of people don't talk about it is a sacrifice. I feel like it's mentioned more than before. But it used to not. That would just fly under the radar. It's
I don't think a lot of people realize what the whole family goes through. Because at different points in time, a parent can be PCSed or they can be shipped out because they have to serve overseas. And sometimes both parents have to go out at the same time. So there's a lot that has to happen for those kids. And I'm grateful that I was able to be a support system for those families.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really cool experience.
Yeah.
I want to talk about this, a lot of things that you've done in the softball world. How did you start playing softball?
So I already started the cheerleading stuff.
Yeah.
My dad was a huge softball player. He played softball leagues all the time.
Like we do now?
Like we do now.
Okay.
And for my dad, that was his thing. He's like, I'm going to sign you up for softball. I was like, okay. So I started playing at a young age. I think I was 8 is when I could start signing up. I was terrible. I was the kid in the outfield picking at dandelions that were out there. My dad's yelling, get up, look alive out there. When you're that age, nobody's hitting it out there.
Yeah.
But I just put my cleats on and I went every day and I grew to love it. My dad pushed me. My dad encouraged me a lot. My dad, if you ever met him with all the boys that he raised, his MO is he's like, oh, he'll talk about my brothers and be like, they were a rush job. She's my work of art.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my dad's awesome. He's a good guy.
Now, what was it like getting into it? Because I know, from a baseball perspective, I started at 7, right? Mm-hmm. And I hated it. And I never thought I would like it. because I wasn't good, and I just didn't get it. Like, some of the concepts are tough. Like, when I was working at summer camp, toughest concept for kids was tagging up. They did not, like, over the age of maybe 9 or 10
Yeah.
they did, but, like, that concept of, like, you have to wait on the base till they catch it, they didn't really get that.
Yeah.
When did the light bulb kind of go off for you that you were like, okay, I get it. It makes sense. I think I can be good at this.
I think the way leagues are with the younger leagues, you don't get to that concept until maturity-wise you're able to actually grasp it. So it was just hit the ball, run the bases, the giggles, go back, go back, go back. But I started playing competitive softball, and I was playing on tournament teams, I think by the time I was 10 or 11.
Okay.
So it came quick. So I don't know when it actually clicked and I got it. I just knew I liked it, and it kept me busy, and I was super busy as a kid, like just busy.
Stuff to do all the time
Yes,
kind of thing.
but like I feel like that's me as an adult still.
Yeah.
Just busy.
Now, was it easy to balance the two? I mean, cheerleading and softball not
Different
really
seasons.
conflicting.
Yeah. So I cheered for football seasons, basketball seasons, and then I went right into softball.
Okay. Now, what was now we're going to get into this, but what was your experience in high school? Because obviously, we promoted the show. We talked about you went in the Hall of Fame for that, and the Dracut Athletics one. We're going to talk about that, but what was the high school experience like for softball?
It was awesome. There wasn't a moment during the softball season but we have been playing together as a cohesive unit since we were children. So we all played travel ball together. Like, we were a well-developed team that stepped onto that field already. We had been playing with each other since we were 8, 9 years old, starting in rec leagues and then moving on to like travel ball. Like, I went everywhere for softball. I went to Canada. I went to New Jersey.
Oh, wow. My
whole life revolved around it. Every weekend, my parents sacrificed, packed up everybody, and we'd go travel to wherever I was playing. But as far as high school, that was my family. That was who I was with. Like, there wasn't a moment where players weren't at my house or I wasn't at their house. Like, we were with each other all the time, and we had a genuine love for one another. So we had such a good bond on the field, but equally off the field.
Okay.
So I feel like that just made it work.
Yeah. I mean, do you think like playing together because you said, and I don't know like the size of Dracut, like it's the same, well, because I guess it was the travel players, right? So you were playing together from like middle school to high school?
Yeah, I'd say even elementary school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, obviously, they end up putting the team in the Hall of Fame. What kind of leads to that? What was the results of this team?
So when I was a freshman, I made the JV team. So my freshman and sophomore year, I was on the JV squad. And then my sophomore year, the team right before us, in 97, they were a state championship team. When I moved up to varsity, we had new players, but again, we had all played together, and we did it back to back. So both of our teams were put in.
Okay, all right. Now, what I didn't win any state championships in high school. I think I maybe have a middle school wrestling state championship, which does not
Hey,
count.
that's still something.
I mean, it doesn't really count for anything. What's it like winning the state championship? What did it come down to? Is this, is it single elimination or is it
Once you hit
series?
the tournament bracket, yeah. Once you're out, you're
Okay.
out. So we had to go till the end. And I think our final game, it was a very close game. It was like 2-1. It was a tight game. And I remember I was in right field, and the final play happened, and I was just standing there. Everybody's cheering. I'm like, wait, did we just win? Like, it was very surreal and kind of like, wow, we did it. And to do it 2 years in a row, that's unheard of.
Were you guys even better the next year? Like, was it the margins kind of?
So my senior year, we had made a run for the playoffs again, and we lost to Concord Carlisle. And it was all girls that we had played travel ball with.
Oh, wow.
So it was like bittersweet. And I think the moment that final out was out, that's when reality sunk in. That was it. Like, as a senior, I was so upset, and I cried, and it was more the loss of my teammates. That was my final time as a middie.
Yeah. Who were the other teams that were good around that time?
So Bill Ricca, believe it or not, was always one of our number one rivals.
Oh, okay, now you're
Now
there.
I coach there. And this, yeah. I remember Patty, who is still the varsity coach now, from the moment she was coaching when I was in high school.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Was
Yep.
she? I mean, how old? Like, how old was she when you were playing?
I have no idea.
20s, 30s, probably.
Yeah, had to be. But I just remember I saw her, I go, wow, she's still coaching. And she's good. I don't know somebody that knows the game inside and out as well as she does. She can see things that I'm like, wow, I didn't even see that.
Yeah. It's wild because I coached wrestling for a little bit, never at high school, middle school level, and I loved it, but it's so hard to balance that. Like I feel like you have to be a teacher to be a coach sometimes. It's really hard to balance if you don't have those hours, right?
That is true. Yeah, and I think it's just easier if you're in the school setting. Like you have it is the hours is a piece to it, but also I've had some of these kids as students.
Yeah.
So then it's already, you have that pre-existing relationship, which is nice. There's not many people that aren't coaches that aren't teachers.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it does happen, but it's like, I just noticed that over the years. Like, I know people that don't teach, that coach, and they have to really change their whole work schedule to do it.
It's a huge commitment. Like, we practice, even at the JV level, we practice Monday through Saturday. So it is a big commitment. And I don't leave the field sometimes till 5:30.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's tough, and for her to be doing that for so long, that's incredible. I want to ask this though: how did you find out? Now obviously some time has passed, right?
Yeah.
And you get the call. How'd you find out that you were going into the Dracut Athletics Hall of Fame?
Somebody posted something on Facebook from the Dracut Athletics Association, and I was just peeking at it, and it said inductees into this year's Hall of Fame. And there are 2 individual teammates that we had that were individually being nominated. So I was like, oh, that's awesome. And then it was like 97 and the 98 state championship teams. I'm like, oh, that's me. So it was cool. And then another teammate started a Facebook chat, and that's how we all kind of gathered and rallied to go.
Okay, very cool. Now, what's the induction like? Does everybody speak, or is it
No. So when we came in, it was at the Four Oaks Country Club in Dracut.
Okay.
So you went in, you got your table. It was like a formal event. There was an MC. Our teams were the first to be inducted, and our coach spoke. Our coach was there.
Okay.
So that was really cool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He came in tow with almost every newspaper clipping article with all of us and signed softballs. So if that wasn't a trip down memory lane, I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, that impacted him just as much as it impacted us. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. Like, what else is going? So who else is being? Was it just you guys going to the Hall of Fame?
Nope.
Or?
So Daphne Page she was a player. She was the shortstop when I was there. But talk about a utility player. That girl could go anywhere. And Courtney DeRojas.
Okay.
So they were both put in individually, and then there was a gymnast that was put in, a wrestler.
All right.
And then I think a track.
Now, like, how do they decide? Like, because it's not typical. Like how the sports, pro sports. I think it's like 5 years you have to be out. Obviously, it's been more than 5 years.
Yeah.
Is it like? How do they decide this? Do you know?
I believe you have to be nominated by somebody from the committee. So former players, people who run the association, and I know our hats have been thrown in the ring multiple times. I know our assistant coach, George Roy, he had been fighting for us for years trying to get us in. He said no other team has ever done that back-to-back title, so it was cool.
Oh, that's really cool. I'm always curious to how some of these things work because, I think that, like, going into a Hall of Fame, no matter what it is like a very prestigious thing.
Yeah.
Like, that's like an immortality, So that's really cool. Now, you still play to this day.
I do.
As I know, and
Yes.
still really good. What is softball like for you now?
It's my therapy, honestly. Stepping out onto the field, no matter what happens during my day, no matter how bad it is, I know I can put my cleats on and I will come off that field and I'll just feel better. Like, for me, it's therapy. But also, I've made so many friendships through it. Like, it's like my second family,
Yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah. So what would you say? Because I get asked this question sometimes. I'm approaching 40. I don't see any plans of.
Well, you say it like
No, you know what I mean, right? But what keeps you playing?
The love of the game. I absolutely love the game, and I can't explain it because I love it that much.
Yeah, no, I think that's the same. Like, I've done, I don't play flag football anymore. Tore my rotator cuff doing that, and I don't even play in the turkey bowl anymore. But there's just something about softball that I'm like, I don't ever really want to leave this,
Yeah.
And I think you're right. I think it's the people is
Yeah.
part of it. And, even when there's drama, like, I just don't get into it, but I mean, there's drama in everything.
No, there is.
You know?
But you know what I have to say? I think the men are full of more drama than the women.
I think it's different types of drama.
Yeah.
That's what I've kind of noticed is sometimes the guys it's on the field stuff.
Yep.
Sometimes the girls it's off-field stuff,
I can see that.
if that makes sense, or what I've
I
kind of
just
noticed.
stay drama free.
Yeah, I just try to stay out of it. If there are things I don't like, if you ask me an opinion, I'll give you an opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But I generally like everybody. No one's perfect. Not only like their behavior's not always going to be perfect,
Mm-hmm.
their play is not always going to be perfect. I mean, everybody's human out there.
Gosh, I've played like trash sometimes.
Yeah, it's I'm curious about this though. When did you start playing slow pitch?
Oh, this is a funny story. So when I came off that state championship, highest of the high, I went to Plymouth and I quit. I quit in college. I had had a lot of pressure. I felt it, since I was 8, and I needed a break. And I know I don't really have a lot of regrets, but that's one thing looking back. I wish I stuck with it because I loved it, and I didn't realize how much I loved it until I took a huge break.
Yeah.
So flashback to 2010. My husband and I think we had just gotten married, and my brother-in-law moved in with us, not Rob, Tim.
Okay.
And he started playing in my social sports.
Yep.
And he was like, "Oh, I'm playing softball." And I was like, "Oh, I played softball." He's like, "Yeah, okay." I was like, "No, I really did."
Yeah.
So he pulled me along, and I joined his rec team, and I was playing in the semi-competitive league and the competitive league, and I would just play on Sundays. And then just through networking, it kind of went from there. And then my kids set me back, so then I was only allowed to play on one team.
Yeah.
Because having humans is hard.
Yeah, and that I've seen some kids basically raised at the field, and sometimes
Yeah.
I'm like, guys.
And that's something I work really hard to
Yeah.
not bring them there because
Yeah.
I don't want them to feel like, ugh, I got to go to mom's softball game.
Yeah.
But when they do come, they enjoy it because it's not something I force on them.
Yeah.
And it's not bad. Some kids love going to the field.
Some do, yeah.
Yeah, I would go watch my dad. I actually played with my dad when he was at Raytheon in the league.
Oh, okay.
I was 14. Yeah, I remember we were going for the same fly ball, and I was like, I got it. And he just plowed over me, and I come up with the ball. And I was like, I told you I had it.
Yeah.
So yeah, Tim, my brother-in-law Tim got me in.
My social sports, I feel like it should get some credit for getting a lot of people involved.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I graduated from college, right, what I first did was we started playing pickup every Saturday at Greeley Park. And I'm not kidding. Like, we're in our early 20s. We play 3 9-inning doubleheaders. Triple headers, I'm sorry. We'd be there
when you're
all,
in your 20s, you can do it.
all day. We didn't want to stop playing. And then Google's been around a long time. I think this is like 2009.
I was in college when I was there back in 2003.
Yeah, it goes back. And the first thing you come up at the time was New Hampshire Sports and Social Club. And I found that, and I said, okay, I think I have a league, and that's how I met LJ, who's been on this show before. She had a team. Actually knew her from college. Maybe that's how I got in, and then I Googled it another year. But she had a team, then I had a team, and that's how I got into it. And then you're right. Then, like, all of a sudden, you start playing, you start meeting different people. That's why when I do go to, my social sports games, and you see people, because my social there's a need for that. I don't want to play U-Trip every single game. Sometimes I want to go and play and just be like, let's play relaxed. If I want to get in the right position, I will. But there's some leagues, if you don't, you're going to get blown up.
Yeah.
So I try to, when I'm there, if I see someone that's like, I want to play more and I want to do more than this, try to spread the word because that's what happened for me. What was the transition for you, though? Fast pitch player, the way, softball's supposed to be played, and now you got to hit slow pitch.
I struggled. I was a phenomenal fielder. I could not hit the ball at all. They were like, phew. So, controlling my swing, because I feel like it's a different swing. I struggled. I struggled to hit, but I was fast. Not so much since my injury, but
Yeah.
I was fast.
Was defensively like a lot of teams? Because like I know for me when I joined in college, I was a better infielder than I was in baseball and softball. And next thing you know, I'm the shortstop. Were you just like? Did they notice your fielding was like on point or?
I've always had a strong arm.
Yeah.
So that was one thing. I was at second base when I first started playing, and that's the only position I wanted to play because that's where I ended my high school career at. So I'm like, I'm a second baseman. And then I started playing women's with Jen. She dragged me over, and she was like, you're an outfielder. And I was like, no, I'm not.
Oh, really?
She was like, you're an outfielder. I'm like, no, I'm not. No, I'm an outfielder.
Yeah, is that mostly where you play now?
I go wherever I'm told.
Because I know on Sundays you're like, and we're like, no, we need you out there. I said, you don't want me out there.
I get tired. I'm old. I'm older than you.
Yeah, but you cover ground and make plays.
I do my best.
I got to ask this. So, obviously I'm, in high school, winning a state championship is probably some of your favorite memories then. Mm-hmm. But now into your adult years, what have been some of your favorite memories playing?
Oh, getting married and having my kids, starting my own family. I love my boys, Mason and Jackson. Mason just turned 11 on Halloween, and Jackson will be 9 the day after my birthday.
Okay.
This December.
Nice. Do you have any like on-field stuff that you?
I love every moment I step onto the field. It's really hard to narrow it down to just one.
Yeah.
I love playing in tournaments. And I like the throw-together teams that I just randomly, hey, can you play? Sure. Having no expectations. And then I'm like, oh, we're in the finals for the championship game.
Yeah.
That's my favorite part. And meeting new people. I still love to meet new people. And I enjoy every second being on a field.
What was your first championship that you remember playing, like as a
kid?
Or as an adult?
As an adult,
kind of going into the rec stuff here.
All right. As an adult.
Was it with Jen?
Nope. Never won with Jen.
Oh, really?
Nope. I won this past year with the women's team. I was with Brandy and Katie, Danielle,
yeah, that was a good team.
Mia.
I saw the picture, yeah.
Mia's walk-off hit was amazing. We were down like 15-4. I feel like it was such a ridiculous lead that they had on us. And to come back, bases were loaded. Mia gets up, walk-off, grand slam. It was awesome.
Yeah, she's been a good player for a while. I don't see her much, though.
I haven't seen her since Canaan, but she's just good people.
Yeah, very friendly
Good
person,
energy.
yeah.
Love her.
Hates the Patriots. I mean, she hates the Patriots. She said some things where I was like, whoa, Mia, calm down. But...
That's funny.
Now, I want to ask this question. This is kind of a big one. Biggest difference, and obviously, what's the difference between coaching and playing?
Playing, I'm in it. I'm in the moment. And it's me. Like, I'm my own destiny at that point. Like, my responsibilities are mine. Being responsible for a whole team, I have to look for plays, look for things, see things that they may not see, and to guide them to see what I see is sometimes so challenging, but it's so rewarding at the same time, because when you see the light bulb go off or you see something you've been practicing on and then it clicks, you're like, yeah.
Is it like sometimes you're like, do you ever go, man, that was a bad decision?
Oh, from a coaching perspective?
Yeah.
All the time. All the time. Or like you think you're going to switch something up in the field and then you're like, yeah, that's my fault, not theirs, that's mine.
Yeah.
Just bad decisions, but you don't know if you don't try.
No, that's a big thing. Has there ever been one where you're like, wow, that worked?
Yeah. Yeah. On that one, yeah.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And that's really giving back too. I think coaching is so important. You always need good coaches, not just from the playing, but your young people doing sports and learning from that.
Yeah, and I love to be a positive role model for them.
Yeah.
Like not only am I a mom, I'm a teacher, but I also like they're funny because I'll tell them like, yeah, Coach Mara and I we have a game coming up. And they're like, oh, we're coming. We're gonna make posters. I'm like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
But it's nice because they're like, you still play?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah. Like I'll scrimmage with them. Like towards the end of the season, I've got up to bat on them and I'll hit. They're like, nice. I don't want to hit you, and I'm like, it's fine. Pitch.
Yeah. That would be funny if they came down and been like, there's like 2 people watching this game. I want to get into some of the fan questions. First, I just want to say because a lot of people were congratulating you on the Hall of Fame picture. Maybe some people weren't aware or anything like that, but it was promoted. So there was a lot, and I did want to put everybody's name that did, but there was just so many I couldn't do it. So everybody that said congrats to Amy, it is on the page. Thank you for that, and there's just too many. You're really popular.
Oh, thanks.
You know. First question from Danielle Hennessy, softball player as well. Woohoo, yeah, Amy. So my first question is, JK, I won't do that to you. I'm assuming Danielle, I'm assuming maybe it's an inappropriate question.
Very.
Because
Not
we
family
are a
friendly.
family
It
show.
is not family friendly, and I.
On Let Freedom Ring.
Nope.
So,
She's being fresh.
now, do you just know her from softball?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We met at Harry Allen in the
Okay.
lower league I used to play in.
Oh, nice.
And Jokers. We used to play at Jokers together too.
Yeah, I mean, you get such a mix of like Massachusetts people and New Hampshire people, you know, right? Being right on the border,
Yeah.
I guess. Because she's Massachusetts, right?
She's actually in Hudson.
Oh, okay. I've always had in my head that she was like from Lowell.
Hudson.
Oh, well, I just learned something.
You're
now.
welcome.
So, Danielle, I learned that here from Hudson. Okay. From Donna D. Samas. Did I say? Now I'm messing it up.
Desimas.
Desimas.
Close.
I nailed it from the show because I wrote it out a certain way.
It's all right.
But I'm assuming this is mom.
That's my mom.
That's my girl, proud mama bear.
Mm-hmm.
So mom's really proud. Is mom is she active on Facebook a lot? Or?
Yes. So is my dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. They like live vicariously.
Oh, really?
Through the internet. No. Are you kidding me? My mom's retired, living her best life. She travels everywhere. I think she's leaving again in February. And then we're going on a trip together. We're going to Alaska next summer.
Oh, wow.
Taking the kids and the fam.
Okay.
So it'll be great.
Now they have, because you have a lot of brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a lot of cousins and stuff like that? They have a lot of grandchildren?
Yeah, my dad's also a twin.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah. So there wasn't a moment I wasn't at a grandparent's house with cousins everywhere, or an aunt's or an uncle's house. Like that, my whole childhood was family.
What's Thanksgiving? Is there enough seats at the table, or?
It's kind of dwindled
Okay.
because everybody now has their own families. This Thanksgiving, it was just my brother came over, my mom was there, my dad went with his wife to her family, but Christmas is a different ballgame.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What's that? Do you have a lot of nieces and nephews then?
I do. So my brother John has a daughter and a son. One of the triplets has 2 twin girls.
Wow, just a pattern.
Yeah. Thankfully not mine.
Yeah.
And then Eric has a boy, Joey.
Oh, okay.
So my brothers have them. And then Jamie's down in Florida with his boys. He has 3 boys. And then my older brother passed away in 2009. So.
Yeah, because I mean, I have 2 nieces and a nephew. And because now we don't buy stuff like I
No,
don't
it's
buy
all
one.
about the kids.
It's all about the kids. We do a Santa thing, so you get which the kids I'll go all out for, and then whoever having the Secret Santa, they'll get something too.
Yeah.
But
We've now gotten to so we go to Christmas morning every Christmas. After my kids open up their gifts, we go to my meme's house. She's still cooking the best Christmas breakfast ever. And my favorite are these little fried dough balls that she makes.
oh wow, yeah.
Oh yeah, I still sit at the kids' tables with my children to eat that. Yeah, so we still do our Christmas morning, but as adults, we pick one person. So this year it's like weird. I got my grandmother, but I'm like, I still always get her something anyways.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm like, okay.
I know Christmas is we used to all still like do a thing, and finally we're like, we're all grown ups. Like, if I want to buy something, like I'm an adult, I can buy it. Like. It's just it's about the kids. I think,
It really is.
As much as adults try to make the holidays about them, we can't anymore. I gotta ask this though, because I am also a Plymouth State alumni, class of '08. What was your time like at Plymouth State?
Very social.
Yeah.
I was in a sorority up there.
Okay.
I was in Kappa Delta Phi, and I liked the stuff that we did to give back to the community. We did a backpack drive one year for children who were in need. A lot of times when kids go into foster care, they're taken in situations where they have nothing.
Oh, wow.
So we would get an age group for a kid, and we would fill a backpack, whether it was a boy or a girl. We would fill it with your essentials, right? Your underwear, your socks, an outfit, toothbrush, toothpaste, toiletries, things like that, and one small toy or gadget. So they had something if they were ever removed. So I loved doing stuff like that. But I was definitely social. And academics was just so easy for me. So I just I was that last minute person, like, oh, I have a final paper due tomorrow at 8. I'm going to start it at 1 o'clock the night before.
Yeah. It's funny because like sororities and fraternities when I was there, I don't know if some things went down. They weren't really a thing, or maybe I wasn't, I wasn't going to them.
I think when I did my student teaching, I came home to do my student teaching. I did it here in Pelham because Dracut's right on the Pelham line. And I think that's when fraternities and sororities kind of blew up because there was actually a hazing death.
Oh, okay.
And I remember that like was a big shock because things that happened was like things that we all did and just weren't aware of the danger of what we were doing.
It's the young people,
Yeah. And I think from that moment, a lot of things have changed for the better, just to promote more awareness. And, the purpose of it was not what it was turning into.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But when I was there, they definitely threw some good parties.
Yeah, I mean, Plymouth State was like ranked by Playboy magazine in the '80s for one of the best, party schools.
I've seen that cut out everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, it was that and that Joe Dodek who ended up playing the NFL. That picture because they said he should have won the Heisman. I'm like, yeah, he didn't win the Heisman in D3, but he played in the NFL. He played in the Super Bowl.
That's awesome.
And
I remember when I was at Plymouth, we did a Greek Games Day, and one they did softball. And I think this was the first time I had touched a softball since I had left the softball field in '99, and this is back in '03. And I remember I went out there, and I remember this Pike brother was like trying to cut me off, but it was my cut to throw home.
Yeah.
And I remember I barreled into him, and I threw it home, and it was a nice throw. And he looked at me, and I was like, this is my game. Don't ever underestimate me. And then someone came up and asked me after, they're like, do you play here? And I was like, no, I probably should have.
Intramurals at Plymouth for softball was a blast.
Oh, I like miss that boat.
Yeah, and that's how I started playing rugby too, because a lot of the guys on my softball team played rugby, and that's how I met everybody, and I had my softball team and rugby team. And Spring Fling's a big thing at Plymouth.
Yeah.
Do you remember any of the bands that came when you were there?
I feel like the Black Eyed Peas were there when I was there, but I don't
They were definitely
remember.
there in '03. I was there. I didn't go to school yet,
I remember they were there, but I don't remember much from those times.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm being so honest. I just
Yeah.
remember it was a good time, had by all.
Yeah, that was always a fun weekend. I think when I was there, I remember the Dropkick Murphys came, Talib Kweli, Real Big Fish. So those were all bands that I was fans of, so I made sure that I got down there.
I just went wherever my crowd was going.
Yeah. No, it's a great place. I got to ask this, though. Did you frequent Biedermann's or Zamahas?
Both.
Zamahas was Louis Zamaha.
So
Stand-up gentleman.
it's so funny. One of my best friends from college, Angela, her husband Keith, they went back up recently. Oh God, I think it had to be within the last 10 years, and still took a picture with them, and he remembered them.
Really?
Yes. And I remember I was 17 when I went to college. I was young. And I will never forget, a girl across the hall was like, oh, can you go to Zamaha's and get me a pack of cigarettes? And I died. I was like, I can't tell her I'm not 18. Okay, I'm going to try.
Yeah.
So I made sure my ID was very visible.
Yeah.
Because I was like, they're not going to say I'm not 18. And I got away with it. And I was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah, I don't think he can, but if you asked him to get something, he would get it.
Yeah.
I'm working on it. I've kind of quit. I'm doing the Zyn now. But I would get the Cherry Skull. And I would do that at home, but I couldn't find it in Plymouth.
And he found it.
And he's like, I got you. And then he would always have the Cherry Skull for me. And I was like, not that I do not promote any kind of chewing tobacco. Don't do it. But yeah, Louis hooked it up. Now, and Biedermann's too, what a great place. I wish I went more.
Same.
But it was it wasn't a bar to go party at.
No. No, but they had the best pasta salad. Please tell me you've had their pasta salad.
I don't think I have.
What?
No.
The only thing I hated, I would get so mad if they put too many mini artichoke hearts things in them. I would kick those out, but
Yeah.
so good. Pasta salad was to die for. And they had phenomenal subs.
That's the best thing that
Phenomenal
they had.
subs.
I actually interviewed the owner for a project.
Oh, get
'cause
out.
We did local history, one of my history classes, and we had to do the history of Plymouth. And I did local businesses, and I've talked about this on the show before, but I had to interview him, record it, and then you had to turn in the transcript. So I had to listen to it and type
then
it
type
up.
it up.
Brutal.
Really?
And after a while, I said, they're not going to check this.
They checked it.
No, I don't know. It's probably still in the Plymouth State Library because they said it's going to be in the library forever.
Oh, that's cool.
And that was a cool interview. Way before Let Freedom Ring, I was interviewing local businesses. So.
Who knew this would be the bigger picture?
I want to ask real quick, what's your favorite part about being a teacher?
I love it. My cup is overflowing for the first time in my 15-year career with what I'm teaching. So I recently switched jobs within the last 3 years, and now I'm more of a reading specialist role. I'm actually in school for my 3rd master's for it.
Wow.
Yeah, wicked smart. No, I love working with my special need population, and I love giving kids lifelong skills to be readers because you can't function in society without being a reader.
No.
So, like for me, when I can see a kid who's just making progress, and when that light bulb clicks and they can get it and I can give them those invaluable skills, like it's just so rewarding. And I absolutely love my middle school population. I learned something new every day. I had kids tell me I had drip. I was like, what does this mean?
Yeah.
And they're like, you're stylish, Mrs. Wenrich. I'm like, oh, you're so sweet.
Yeah. No, I think it takes a special person to work with the, because as I worked with middle school kids, like you really got to have thick skin.
Yes.
If you don't have thick, because everything,
Yes.
like you could say, George Washington, this, comment.
Yes.
I say something, comment. You know, it's that time of their life where they're developing and who they're going to be.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, it's not.
Middle school
not
is the
easy.
armpit of the school years.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, it's not easy.
But they say you are the age you teach, so that gives you my maturity level because they are hysterical.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. They say stuff and I turn around and I'm like, that's not appropriate, but I can't not laugh because you're funny.
Yeah. No, I really think I think there's people that couldn't do it because they'll snap. You know.
I agree.
It's not easy.
It's just hard some days, like when I'm exhausted and I just don't have the energy.
Yeah.
I'm like, guys, I'm really sorry I can't match you today. Tomorrow I'll be better.
Yeah.
And they're like, we got you, don't worry.
I do want to get into top fives here, one of my favorite segments on the show. First, love to ask this question. I'm a big movie guy, obviously. What are your top 5 favorite movies?
This is really hard because I equally love movies. Goonies is one of my all-time favorites.
Ooh, I don't think we've heard Goonies on the show
Love the
before.
Goonies. If that is on, I will always stop what I'm doing and just enjoy it. It's very nostalgic for me. I love $1 Million Baby.
That's in my collection.
That is a phenomenal movie. Love Goodfellas, Bronx
my favorite,
Tale.
My favorite, 2 of my favorites right there.
God, there's so many to list. I feel like I'm leaving a ton out. I love anything crime. Recently, with my own kids, we started watching old Agatha Christie stuff, The Orient, Murder on the Orient.
Okay. Yeah.
And I'm that person who watches a movie. I know the plot before it's done, and my husband and my kids get so mad. They're like, Mom, just watch the movie. I'm like, I figured it out.
Yeah.
So, like, it's nice to watch stuff with my family, too.
Yeah. No, that's a great selection. Goodfellas is my number 2 movie favorite. Like, I could watch that over and over.
Same.
Bronx Tale, you know the lock test. Like,
Yeah, sure do.
If she's a keeper, if she unlocks your door. I would try that in my younger
I've failed
years.
numerous times. And then after I forget
really?
about it, I was like, I should have opened your door.
Yeah. Too funny, but I remember that, and I was like, well, you know, maybe I shouldn't have stayed with that girl when she didn't do that, and how it all ended.
Well, I didn't do that for my husband, and things are working out.
Oh,
very
there you go.
fine.
So it's not a perfect test.
No, it is not.
You know. What are your top 5 favorite TV shows?
Oh, top 5 favorite TV shows. I have a ton. I actually have a running note list with my friends.
Okay.
And we share it and we update like our favorite shows. Huge Game of Thrones fan. House of the Dragon. Love Stranger Things.
I gotta do it.
You haven't watched it?
And everybody's like, that's up your alley. And I'm
I
like,
almost literally brought you a Funko Pop of 11.
really?
Yes.
I have
Add to your collection. It's so
I
good.
have to get on this.
My kids are asking. I'm like, now it's getting a little dicey. You're too young.
Yeah.
So I'm like, wait till you're 14. What else do I like? Oh, I'm so sad. Mindhunter. Did you ever watch that?
No.
It's all about the FBI Behavioral Analysis Unit.
Oh, wow.
So good, and it just stopped. So I was like, well, right when it got good, it stopped.
What channel was that?
I think I streamed it off of Netflix.
Okay.
Man, there's so many good TV shows. I have to say, one of my guilty pleasures is definitely Grey's Anatomy. I was 26 and got my tonsils out, and that was the first season ever, back when I was 26.
Okay,
And
yeah,
I was
that
up-
makes sense, 'cause
I
I
was
think I
up
was
wicked
21
late at
or
night.
22, yeah.
Couldn't fall asleep because I was dying. And I'm like, oh, this is kind of good. So that's one I've like religiously stuck with from the beginning to the end. I don't really like necessarily the way it went, but I'm like, I started watching it. I can't not finish it. What else do I like?
I can't believe they've got it going for so long.
For so long.
So when it first came out, my girlfriend at the time that I was dating was really into it. Then we broke up. 10 years later, I was dating somebody else, and she was really into it. I was like, oh, McDreamy's still alive? Well, no, actually, I didn't think that. I didn't know they were going to kill him. I started watching with her, and then they killed him off, and I was like, man, I came back
They
at
lost
the
a
time
lot of
that
viewers when that happened.
Probably not right. The guy's sexiest man alive right now,
I know,
right?
he was recently in Maine. He also
Yeah,
played
he's
softball.
playing
Did you see that?
softball, yeah. But anyways, I had to bring that up because that show, like, I'm not a Grey's Anatomy fan, but it's always just so weird that, like, 10 years went by, and I was like, they're still in the same thing.
Yeah.
I knew a few people they killed off the show, but, like, it was pretty much the same premise at that point, you know?
Yeah. And anything crime documentary, I will be watching it.
Do you watch Investigation Discovery a lot, the channel?
No, but sometimes I'll put it on. No, I like the documentaries. Like, some of them are wild. I'm like, is this real life?
Yeah. There's a lot of crazy things have happened in the world. But if I do watch too much Investigation Discovery, I get paranoid.
I do too.
I get really like irrationally
Yeah.
I'm like, you just watched that. This thought never popped in your head before.
Yeah,
You know?
I watched The Night Stalker.
Oh wow, yeah.
So my mom had surgery. I moved in with her for 5 weeks. It was during the pandemic. So I was like, all right, I'll move in with you. I'll take care of you. I watched it in her back bedroom, and she has this door to the side where it was slit slightly open. And I was like, I need to go put something over that so somebody can't see me, because I was freaking out. I was by myself, and I was like,
It's those like the home invasion ones are the scariest
Yeah.
stuff, you know. Like I could watch anything on Dahmer because I'm like, I would never been one of
I
his
had to
victims.
turn that one off.
You know,
I got kind of like
which the like the miniseries.
I couldn't finish it. I started getting really disturbed, like right around when the boy went outside and the cops let him go.
That's like one of the,
That's when I was like, I can't watch this.
that was such a travesty, and it tells you how they kind of looked at, you know, people in the LGBTQT community at the time. That should never happen.
Nope.
That whole
And he was 14.
yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, that I mean, I thought it was good. Obviously, the inaccuracies in it, but
Well, you embellish anything to
I think you have
for TV.
to.
Yeah.
You know, even in a serial killer isn't as interesting as you can make it. But yeah, no, that's like the saddest part. The whole thing is sad. Anybody losing their life like that. But that was like, he was a kid, and the cops gave him back to this murderer. You know. I know this is a tough one, and just some names, but some of the, you know, you play women's and co-ed, but you know, it's good to hear, like, who do you think are some of the big names that we play with for rec female players?
Honestly, there are way too many for me to even narrow it down to a top 5 list. I think every woman I've had the opportunity to play with is so amazing in their own right. I couldn't give you a 5 even if you paid me.
Okay, fair enough. We don't press. We don't press. There will be nothing on Twitter about this later. All right, I want to get into one of my favorite segments of the show, which is blank versus blank. I'm going to give you 2 things. You got to pick one. You got to tell me why.
Okay.
I'm bringing it back to this. Patriots are 2-9. There's going to be changes. We know that's going to happen. Sports radio is starting to get into this. You know,
I listen to 93.7 every day on my way in.
okay, so I don't know if this debate's even fair, but I asked a question on the Let Freedom Ring page, and I apologize. I used the wrong picture for the wrong person. But if you had to get rid of one, who are you getting rid of? The coach, Bill Belichick, or the quarterback, Mac Jones?
Can I say both?
Yeah, you could. If only one, say you had to keep one.
If I had to keep one. Bill in his own right, we had a dynasty with him, really. But then that leads to the question, was it Bill or was it Tom? Which...
I think it's both.
I mean, I think Bill is a great coach, and I feel like Mac isn't doing great, but look at all the criticism he's receiving. I would not be doing great if every single day I woke up and listened to the radio.
Oh, yeah.
And I was hearing everything and all the negativity. He's having a tough year. I think he's a great athlete. I just think I don't think this is the right fit for him. So for here, I would say both, but I think Mac just needs a fresh start.
Do you think they broke him? I was looking at videos. I went to a lot of games in 2021. I was like, wow, we're not. I knew we weren't Brady like again, but I was like, we're relevant. And I'm looking at these videos, going, man, Mac was good. What the hell happened? Like, do you think they ruined him? Like, was it Matt Patricia coming in and he just never got back from that? Or
I mean, I feel like as an athlete, you're a product of yourself. You know, like your coaching can only take you so far. When you're on the field, it's you.
Yeah.
So it's hard to pinpoint and blame somebody else for what you're responsible for.
Yeah, and I want to just bring back one thing too, you know, because they're all just saying it was all Tom. I said the great coaches always had the best players. If you look at Phil Jackson, he won multiple championships with the Bulls. He won multiple championships with the Lakers. Just using him as an example. Stacked freaking teams, like the best players of their.
But people wanted to play for him too.
That's true. I think a lot of people don't want to play for Belichick anymore because he's a hard ass.
He ran a tight ship.
You know?
I mean, you look at the media and every Patriots player, it was like the Patriots way.
Yeah.
And it was very tight-lipped.
It's broken right now, but you know what? We were due for that.
Yeah, no, and there's nothing better than a comeback story and a rebuild.
It's true. That's true. Would you
I
rather?
just hope it's not like as long as the Red Sox were.
Well, you know, a lot of people are like, you guys are doomed for the next 20 years. They said, you don't know that.
No.
And you know, the Chicago Bears fans seem to be like the most like, we're not even rivals. And it's like, they just think because their franchise has tanked for so long, like that's going to be us. It's like, I don't know why you guys are bitter about a team that's not even a rival of you. But it's weird. Would you rather wear Crocs or sandals?
What kind of sandals?
Tevas.
Oh, absolutely not. I'm going Crocs all day.
Yeah. I don't know anybody that wears Tevas anymore.
My dad does.
Oh, does he?
Oh, yeah, we call them his JC sandals.
Oh, okay. That's too funny. Better holiday cartoon. Would you rather watch Frosty the Snowman or Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer? The clay one there, whatever
That's
it was.
not a cartoon, that's claymation. Sir.
Claymation, you know.
Rudolph.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Ugh. I don't. That's a tough one for me too. I love the music of Frosty,
Yeah,
but I do love the music for. Yeah, I think I'm with you.
I like Rudolph.
I don't know if you're a fan of these shows, but I've brought this one up before. We just recently lost Matthew Perry, legendary character Chandler, one of my favorites. But another show that I really, so that's Friends. Another show that is probably my favorite of all time, comedy-wise, The Office. What are you taking?
Friends.
Really?
I have to be honest with you, I've probably seen 3 episodes of The Office.
Oh.
I know,
What
I know.
season? Because if you say, oh, I gave up after the first season was not good, no one claims that it was.
Do you know who started watching it? My kids. They're
Really?
like, Ma, you gotta watch this. This is hysterical. So it's funny. I just haven't commit to it yet.
Highly recommend. Start season 2. Season 1 was just a shot-for-shot remake of the British one.
Yep.
And I've been hearing this for years. People like watch that. They said it was not good, and the British one's better. I'm like, you didn't give it the chance. Like, let them establish Michael Scott.
No, I've heard great things. I just have not. It's not on my radar yet.
Okay, no, that's fair. Would you rather play at Udiggy Fence, Atkinson,
Okay.
or Martell here in Merrimack?
I think I like Martell better.
Seems to be the most popular field.
Yeah. I don't mind Udicky. I became more comfortable with Udicky after playing there all summer. But I think I just like Martell better.
It's like it's the main field that's used for all the tournaments. You know, they pack that parking lot. I'm sure the Merrimack residents love that.
I haven't heard any complaints.
No, not that I know. My brother lives right down the street, so you know he'll always be like, "Hey,
It's contained within the park.
Yeah, I think it's a perfect park for
Yeah.
it. You know, and I think Udicky is too with the parking, those big parking lots
Yeah.
and stuff. It's like there's a lot of fields that like the parking is just sucks.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, Mine Falls being one. You got to walk a mile to get to the field.
Yes,
you know?
I agree with that.
You got to get there early if you want to get on the field on time.
Yep.
2 of my favorites. I want to know. I got to see Janet Jackson this year in concert. Unbelievable. I love Janet Jackson. I want to marry her. Janet, just in case you're watching. Or also my other favorite, Mariah Carey, who's doing her holiday show, which I don't think I'm going to go. It's crazy expensive, and I hate going to the Garden. But Janet Jackson, Mariah Carey. If you have to
Janet
listen-
Jackson.
Well done. All right.
Janet Jackson. One of my favorite movies actually was Poetic Justice.
Love it. Yes.
So, and I remember I had her album, the inappropriate one, and my dad goes, "What is this?"
Velvet Rope.
Yes. My
Yeah.
dad was like, "This is inappropriate." I was like, "Just take it out."
Yeah, I love the Velvet. I mean, the pictures in there as a young child was like, oh my God.
Yeah,
you know,
I think I'm a little bit older than you, so I was probably a teenager.
Yeah, but it was like, she like has to get more, like it's always overshadowed by Michael, but I'm like, Janet is like.
No, she's a great artist in her own right.
Yeah, like unbelievable artist, you know, and
I feel like she got a lot of flack from that whole Super Bowl thing where she wasn't the only one partied at that.
No, that was more Justin Timberlake.
I
than
know.
her. And at the end of the day, it was an accident. The only thing that they went wrong is that they didn't tell anybody, and you know.
That's why you never go rogue. Stick to the script.
Well, they took her off all stations with CBS. Couldn't be on MTV. It's like she couldn't. Demeanor Joe album. If you listen to that, it's
And
unbelievable.
yet he blew up.
And he became bigger. It's almost like, because a lot of people have said, well, it was a sexism thing, it was a race thing, and all this other stuff. I also think it played an age thing, played a part, because he was like 23 and she was 38. And I think like she got treated as like, well, Jan should have known better.
I think it's all party to how the media plays it too.
Yeah. And she
Always.
apologized and everybody. But honestly, like, Janet Jackson's the GOAT. Would you rather play in a tournament or a league?
I have to say both. I like them both equally for different reasons.
Okay. And last one, this might be the toughest one for you. Would you rather be playing or coaching?
Playing. Not hard.
That's the easy one.
Yeah, that's the easy one. I still love playing.
Are you a lifer like probably like me?
Listen, as
probably?
long as my body doesn't give out, we almost had a career-ending injury. I was playing indoors and I tore both my hamstrings off the bone.
Yeah, a lot of people. I'm getting asked to play in some of these tournaments, and I have played indoor in the domes, but
I love the dome.
They gotta be cautious.
Yeah, but I did something earlier in the day. I had a student who was falling asleep in class, and I was like, "You're an athlete. What are you doing? Get up, do some burpees." And I'm like, "That is not the correct form." So what did I do? I went and showed him, and I felt something pop. So that was the start of it. And then I played in a league game that night in the dome, running out to first base, and I felt a rubber band snap.
Ugh, that's the worst.
And then I just thought it was a tweak, but I tore it, and I continued to play on it. And then I was playing with you guys in that Sunday league.
Yeah.
And I was, nope, we're done.
Well, I'm glad you're back, because those injuries can be real bad. But Amy, appreciate you coming on the show. This has
Thanks
been a
for
blast.
having me.
We'll do it again sometime. Everybody out there, have a great rest of your week. Keep your heads up. Until next time.